Hey everyone, and welcome to the Chapter 5 review. Because this is a review, these are all things you have learned before. So what I hope you do with this video is I hope you try these problems on your own and then push play to see if you did it correctly, or do as much of the question as you can on your own and then have me pick up the rest. If your trail is completely caved over and just weedy as all get out, then yes, I have this video here to use it as a reteach and to do it step by step with me. But whatever works for you, I hope that you use this video productively to help your brain grow the most and be prepared for that Chapter 5B test. So let's get started. One of the things I want you to really remember when we are doing any percent problem is that there are a few tricks to think about. My number one trick, anytime you see a percent problem, is to set it up the percent over 100 and then the part over the whole. And then once it's set up from here, you can decide, all right, do I keep doing it the ratio way, or do I change the whole, or do I change the percent into a decimal and then times by the whole? Right? So there's different strategies you could do, but it's always easiest for me to start with that ratio way and then go from there. Okay, so let's get started on the first question. Harrison has 40 songs downloaded on his phone. If 50% of the music is country and 25% is pop, how many songs are other types of music? So this is one of those tricky problems. And the reason for that is because it gives you a percentage for country and a percentage for pop. But then it asks how many songs are other types of music. So this one's going to take a little bit of extra work to figure out that other types of music. And there's two ways you could go about it. The first way you could go about it is say, all right, well, 50% are country and 25% is pop. That leaves me with 75% country and pop. And then you have your percent and you also have your 40, your whole. Those are all the songs, right? So you could solve it this way. And from here, you could change the 75% into a decimal and times by 40. Or you could simplify this all the way down to 3/4. And then you could find that times by 10 relationship and get 30. Now, here's where some people might get tricked and where you will not, because you're going to remember that this is for the 75% that's country and pop. And that's not what it's asking. It's asking for the other types. So then you're going to take the 40 total, and then you're going to subtract the country and pop songs, leaving you with 10 types of other music. So that's one way you could solve it, right? Another way you could solve it is you could be like, well, if 50% is country, 25% is pop, that leaves me with the 25% that's the other music. And then from there, you could set up your ratio with that 25%, which you know is the other percent. And then from there, you could simplify that all the way down to 1/4 times by 10 again, and you'll still get 10. So no matter which way you'll do it, you'll still get 10 other types of music. I guess it's technically 10 songs of other types of music. Okay, so that is how I would solve. Either way works. So you just need to decide which way do you like best. Okay. All right. This question is asking us to create an inequality, meaning less than or greater than or equal to. And we can do that by setting it up the ratio way. You're going to see me do that a lot. And now, because I know I'm looking for the part, I can change that and do it the decimal way. Or I can be like, hey, look, there's a divide by 5 relationship and get that this is 5. And then I'll do the exact same thing to the other side. 30% out of 15. Don't see a relationship for this one though. So this one actually might have to be the decimal way. So 30% is 0.3 times that by 15. And you get 3, 4, move the decimal over once, you get 4.5. So 5 is greater than 4.5. Ooh, I just remembered, 25%, we know that mentally is just divide by 4. So you could have also done the mental math strategy there. That's kind of cool. There were 300 people who voted at the town council meeting. Of these people, 40% voted for building a new skate park in the park. How many people voted against building the new skate park? Use numbers and words to explain your answer. This is another tricky one. Did you catch that? Because it's asking for how many people voted against, but it gives us a percent of people who voted for. We want how many people voted against. So we're going to have to do that extra strategy like we did with Harrison and the songs. Okay, if you want to just start out with the 40%, that is totally doable. And then you can see this relationship right here, and you'd get 120. But you would realize, oh, that's the 40% that voted for. So then you're going to take the extra step to get rid of those people who voted for, leaving you with the people who voted against. So if you do it this way, you get the people who voted, 180 voted against. Okay, the other strategy is, okay, 40% voted for it. That means 60% voted against it, because that would be all 100% of the people, correct? So then you could just do it 60% and immediately get those who voted against. Again, you'll do that times by 3 relationship, and you'll still get 180 people who voted against it. Okay, so those technically aren't difficult, but you just have to read the questions carefully so that you make sure you're answering what it's actually asking for. All right, we got two-part story here. A cookie store has 40 stores and 60% of them are Utah. The rest are in Idaho. So part A of this question is how many stores are in Utah and how many are in Idaho? So I'm going to start with the 60% that's in Utah. I see that percent, so I'm going to immediately put it over 100. And then a cookie store has 40 stores. Is that all the stores or the part that's in Utah? No, that's all of them, isn't it? So we're going to put that on bottom. And then I'm going to see that we can times by 4, and I'll get 24. And that's the 60% for Utah, right? So I know 24 are in Utah. Okay, so I have two ways I can find Idaho now. I can do the other 40% is in Idaho, right? Or I can be like, all right, well, if there's 40 total stores and 24 of them are in Utah, that means if I get rid of them, I will be left with the ones in Idaho. So 16 in Idaho. I could have also done it the ratio way, and I still would have gotten 16 in Idaho. Okay, so let's go to part B. Part B is this. The cookie store has opened 10 new stores. This is 10, not 10. Some are in Utah and some are in Idaho. So complete the table. So if there's 10 new stores, I see a percent. So I'll do the 40 over 100. And now I need do we have 10 total new stores? No. That's not my whole, right? Because they had 40 stores over here. Now they've opened up 10 new stores. So now their new total is 50. Okay, I'm good now. Now I can times by 5 and I'll get that there are now 20 stores in Idaho. Now, there's a few ways I can figure out the rest of this, right? If I know that 100% of the stores are either in Utah or Idaho, that tells me that 60% are in Utah. And I can do the 60 over 100, right? Or I can be like, all right, well, if now they have a total of 50 stores, they have a total of 50 stores and 20 of them are in Idaho, that leaves me with 30 stores in Utah, which I could have gotten this way. Could have gotten 30 that way as well. So hopefully as you're doing this video with me, you're realizing, okay, there's more than one way to solve these. And if one way is not working for me, then I can try another way. And if that way is not working for me, then I can skip the answer, do all the others, come back, and maybe something fresh will come up in my brain. Okay? All right. So let's go down to Mrs. Matson. Mrs. Matson and Lisbon went out to lunch. The price of lunch for both of them was $25. They tipped their server 20% of that amount. How much did each person pay if they shared the price of it all equally? Okay, so I see a percent. I'm going to put that percent over 100. Now I have to decide with this $25. This one's a little bit tricky because a lot of people are like, well, that's just part because it doesn't include the whole amount because I'm going to add a tip. Actually, though, this is our whole lunch. It was my lunch and Lisbon's lunch, so we're going to put that whole amount on bottom. Then what we're going to do is we're going to find the part that's going to be the tip, and then we'll add that part and get a new total with including the tip, right? So with these type of questions where you're going to a restaurant or you're eating somewhere, before tax, you are given, it's called a subtotal, which is basically your whole amount. And then you'll add the tip or you'll add the tax, that part that's the tip or the tax. So remember that for this is your whole, okay? And what can I do? I can do the decimal way if I would like, just times by 2, or I can see, look, we're getting 5 times smaller. So, whoa, that looks awful. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So my tip is going to be $5. And if I did that this way, I could see that, yeah. So I have a $5 tip. I'm going to add that to my $25 meal, and that's going to give me $30. Now, read the question. It says, how much did each person pay if they shared the price of it all equally? So Lisbon, the toddler that she is, said that she will pay for her share, and she will divide this up equally with me. And that means there'll be 2 of us sharing it equally. And 30 divided by 2 is $15. So I will pay $15 and Lisbon will pay the other $15. So make sure you don't stop just at 30. Make sure you answer the whole question so you can get the full points for this. John has saved 35% of the money. Oh, just immediately put that 35 over 100, huh? Anytime I see a percent, goes over 100. Has saved 35% of the money that he needs to buy a new Nintendo Switch. If he has saved $70, how much does the Switch cost? Use numbers and words. Okay, $70. Is that all of his money? Or is that just part of his money? Let's see, he's buying a Switch. Is that the total whole amount for the Switch? Not yet. No, it's not, right? He's saved 70. That's not 100% of the money he needs. That's only 35% of the money he needs. So 70 is just the part he has saved so far. The question is, how much does the whole entire Switch cost? So we're looking for the price of the Switch right there. And I can see that this is a times by 2 relationship. So the Switch is going to cost $200. Now that makes sense, right? Sometimes I have students that do this and they are just automatically in the habit of putting it as the whole. If that were to happen, then you would get something, I don't know, let me do it quickly on a calculator. You would get 35% times 70. You would get $24.50. Now, if you were to have done that, you would have been like, oh, right, the question is how much does the Switch cost? And you would want to say that the Switch is $24.50. No. And that would clue you in. Hold on, Switches are way more expensive than that. If he's already saved $70 and that's not even half of what he needs, there's no way that Switch costs $24.50. So then you can be like, oh, I think that 70 is not the whole, the 70 is the part. And then you could redo the problem to get the answer. Okay, so when you're looking for the whole, the decimal way doesn't work. The decimal way will give you not what you need. So you have to do it the relationship way when you're looking for the whole amount of something. All right. Okay. Guys. We'll do those at the end. We missed 2 problems. Sorry if you're following along. All right, let's try these ones though. Choose yes or no to indicate whether the statement is correct. So is it true that 12 is 20% of 60? There's a couple ways you can set this up. You'll always set it up 20 over 100, right? Okay, so is it true that 12 is 60%, is 20% of 60? So you could see if this is true, or you could set it up and you could set it up like this. Is it true that 12 is 20% of 60? Okay, I like kind of finding the part. So I'm going to see if the answer really is 12. Is 12 really 20% of 60? And when I do that, I get times 6, and I do. I get 12. So 12 really is 20% of 60. Okay, now let's look at this 24. 24 is 50% of 48. Well, 50% is half. Is 24 half of 48? Well, yes, it is. 24 is half of 48. Okay, or you could have set it up this way and been like, oh, look, I can divide by 2. And you would have seen that 24 really is half of 48. Is it true that 14 is 75%? Oh, I'm going to use a different color so you know. 75% of 20. Is that 14? Well, there's no, oh, yeah, there is. Divide by 5. Divide by 5. Guess what? 75 divided by 5 is 15. So it's not 14. 15 is 75% of 20. Okay. And this last one is, what is 30% of 30? Is it 9? Let's find out. Times by 3, times by 3. Yeah, you do. You get 9. So those are how you could figure out if those are yeses or nos, if they're correct or incorrect. Maya said that 0.7 equals 7%. What is her mistake? She was here at 0.7 on her little fraction decimal percent triangle, and she said that 0.7 is 70%. That is wrong. You got to figure out what is her mistake. Well, she needs to remember that when we go from fraction to decimal, it is actually 2 scoops for 70%. So she forgot to scoop twice. If you want to sound really mathy, you can say she forgot to multiply by 100, which is the same as scooping twice. Okay, so that's what Maya did wrong. Make sure fraction 2%, you are scooping twice. Porter and his family are going to the grand opening of a new movie. There's a special price on tickets this week only. So theater tickets are $32 each. That's a great deal because that's actually only 80% of the cost of a regular price ticket. So what is the cost of a regular price ticket? All right, well, I'm starting with that. What do I always start when I see a percent? That 80% over 100. Now I have to decide, those theater tickets that they're getting, are they the part or are they the whole? Are they the part that's on sale or are they the whole total regular price ticket? Well, it says that this 32 is 80%. It's not 100% of the regular price. It's only 80%. And here's the other clue. It's asking you, what is the regular price ticket? What's the whole amount ticket? So that's what it's asking us. What's the regular price? What's the whole amount? You know the part that's on sale, right? But what is the total amount? Okay. So because I'm looking for the whole, I can't do the decimal way, can I? So I've got to stick with the ratio way. If I simplify this, there's still not a relation. Oh, yes, there is. 8 to 32. You can times by 4, huh? So times by 4, that'll give you 40. Does that answer make sense? If it's on sale and it's $32, does that make sense that the regular price is $40? Yeah, that makes sense. So a regular price ticket is $40. Let's go on to part 2 of this question. Porter's mom says that they would save more than $50 if they buy 4 tickets for their family on opening weekend. Do you agree or disagree with Porter's mom? How in the world can we figure this one out? If they buy 4 tickets, they'll save $50 on opening weekend. What was opening weekend? Opening weekend, oh, the special price is $32. So if they buy 4 tickets for opening weekend with that special discount, it's going to be $128. Will they save $50? Well, I'm not sure until I know how much it would cost regularly, right? So remember, regular price tickets are $40. So let's see how much it would be for 4 tickets for the $40 amount, and that would be $160. Are they saving $50? Well, let's see the difference between these two. Oh, hold on. That should be a 5, huh? Okay. Craig, help me out. Yep. So they are only saving $32. So you're going to have to disagree with Porter's mom and say you're only saving $32 if I did my math correct. Right? 5 minus 2 is 3. Yeah, I think I did my math right. You'll tell me if I didn't, right? So disagree with Porter's mom. They're only saving $32. They're not saving $50 if they go on opening weekend. All right. Nedra wants to put a variety of ice cream in her ice cream display. Her display can hold 40 different ice cream flavors. Complete the table. Okay, well, we know that it can hold 40 total, right? That's our total amount of ice cream that it can hold. And it looks like we have the different percents and how much ice cream that is. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of individually find the chocolate, then find the amount for vanilla and sherbet and go from there. So I'm going to start with chocolate. Chocolate is 20% of the display. We have a total of 40 ice cream flavors, right? So simplify that times by 4 and I get 8. So 8 for chocolate. Now I'm going to switch things up and now I'm going to do vanilla. Vanilla is 40% of the display, so there's a total of 40. Simplify that up, see the exact same relationship, but this time I get a total of 16 vanilla. That's the part that's vanilla on the display. And now let's go with sherbet. Sherbet is 30% of the display. This is wrong. I feel like it should be like chocolate is like 90% because chocolate ice cream flavors are the best. Vanilla is pretty good, but sherbet, no. No, thank you. Oh well, we'll still figure it out. 10 times 4, 3 times 4 gives you 12. Okay, so out of the 40 different flavors, we have chocolate, vanilla, and sherbet, and that's how many of each there are in the display of 40. So here's the question now. Did Nedra fill the ice cream display as full as it can go? How do you know? Is this as full? Is this as many ice creams as she can put? Remember that she can put 40 in. How can we figure out if it is truly full? Well, let's add them up. 8 plus 16, 6 is 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 36. She only did 36 flavors of ice cream. So did she fill it up? No, she did not. Another way you could have figured that out is you could have added up the percents. Do they equal 100%? 20 and 40, 60, 70, 80. No, they don't either. So there's 2 different ways that you can prove, yeah, she did not fill it up completely because she only filled up 90% of the way. There's 36 different ice creams and she could have 40. Okay, how do I know? Well, I added up all the flavors and only got 36 flavors, not 40. Now, if there's a question like, how many more does she need to fill up the display? Could you figure that out? Yeah, well, if there's a total of 40, she only has 36, right? Then you know she could still put 4 more in. She could still put 4 more flavors on display. Cool, cool, cool. All right, let's go back to those 2 problems that I missed at the beginning. Oops. Right here. There are $89 in my math savings account, and I want to take 30% out of that to buy a new calculator. How much do I want to take out? I'm immediately going to put the 30 over 100, and then that 89, that is all I have in my savings account, right? I'm trying to figure out how much I want to take out. What's the 30% part that I want to take out? Okay, now if I do this, ratio way is not working, right? So this is a case where like, oh, I'm so glad Mrs. Manson taught me a different strategy. I know that if the percent way doesn't work, then I can change the percent, scoop it twice, and turn it into a decimal. So I can solve this the decimal way instead. And I am going to get 24, 25, 26, 26. You can remember when I multiply by a decimal, I need to scoop. Does it make sense to say that the calculator is going to cost $26.70? If I have $89 in my account, and I'm not going to take out all of it, I'm only going to take out 30% of it, which is less than half, then that makes sense. Yeah, because $26 is a lot less than half of $89. So I think that, yeah, that answer sounds reasonable to me. So I'm going to say $26.70. Ooh, 50% of 90, 35% of 100. Because this is the percent way, I can go percent over 100, 90, right? Or I can remember, I know what 50% is. We can just divide it by 2. What is 90 divided by 2? It is 45. And 35% of 100, 35 over 100 is my percent. And then out of 100, oh, well, what do I need to make these equal? Just make it 35, right? So 35% of 100 is 35. You're like, oh, look, there's a times by 1 relationship. Okay, so 45 is greater than 35. All right, let's make sure that I have answered all the questions. Good, good. It looks like I tend to like purple a lot. Oh, last one. Keep going back, huh? What is 24% as a fraction? I'm up here at 24%, and I want to get, oh, nope, that's not how I do it. I have my 24% down here, huh? And I want to get it to a fraction. I'm going to remember that every percent is literally per 100 divided by 100. And then I'm going to make sure that I divide by 2. That will give me 12/50ths. I notice that those are also even, so I'm going to divide those by 2 and get 6/25ths. If I have 6 and 25 in a birthday cake, nothing works. So 6/25ths is what that is as a fraction. All right, now we've done all of them. These other ones are just extra optional practice problems if you would like to do and practice some more. Go for it. We'll check your work if you want, but we're going to end this video at about 30 minutes. So we're going to stop right there, and good luck. Go over these questions again before the test if you really want to make sure that you're ready for the test, because these questions are very closely related to what you'll see on the test.